Hello everyone and welcome back to Story of the World Highlights. Today we're going to look at Chapter 8. So Chapter 8 has us looking at a different region of the world. In this chapter we're looking at the Middle East. So the Middle East had a lot going on historically, especially with territory and who owned what and when. So to help us understand this a little bit better, the chapter in our book dives in and gives us an example of a puzzle, and they call it the Persian puzzle. Now, in this puzzle, they talk about lots of different colors representing different rulers of the area at different times. And to help you better understand it, I went ahead and made it. So here's the Persian puzzle. So the Persian puzzle, again, you see an outline of the Middle East, but don't think of this as a map and don't think of those colors as being specific to that spot on the map. Instead, think of it as a timeline, and each layer is a different time in history. Okay, and we'll be starting at the bottom and working our way to the top. So let's get started. First, we have the silver part at the bottom. The silver part is the Assyrian Empire. Now, the Assyrians ruled the area until the group of people called the Babylonians took over. After the Babylonians ruled the area, we had the Persians come in and conquer the area. And the Persians were this maroon color, and they ruled until Alexander the Great, a giant conqueror, who was also an ancient Greek king, took over the area in the region. Now, Alexander the Great, while owning lots of land, when he died, the section of the Middle East that he owned was divided into 3 sections, and that's why we have these dotted lines. Now, one of the sections of the Middle East was given to his top war general, Seleucus. And Seleucus ruled that area really well for a short period of time, and when he died, his descendants got to take it over. And some people in that area were not too thrilled to continue with that family ruling. So some of them broke off right here and became a group called Parthia. So we have Parthia and the Seleucus area of what is Persia. And Parthia was doing well. It grew big until one day it started to have problems with its leadership, and specifically its noblemen. And the noblemen in the area started to fight. And eventually, one nobleman in particular, Sassanid, came in and he took over the whole area. He won and took it over. And that's when we have the Sassanid dynasty in that region. So the Sassanid dynasty continued to rule until eventually the spread of Islam took over the entire region. So the Islamic Empire is about the Islamic faith, and the people that worship it are the Muslim people, right? Muslims. And Muslims believe in and worship the Prophet Muhammad. So his followers were growing, and the faith was becoming stronger until it spread across the whole region. Now, the Islamic Empire lasted for a while until eventually some people had enough of the Islamic regime, and they decided to try and fight against it. One group in particular was a certain branch of Turkish people, or Turks, called the Ghaznavids. Now, I say this is one branch of them because Turks are nomadic people, or at least at that time they were. And nomadic people are people that are not connected to a specific piece of land. They are just a group of people that are connected to themselves as a group. And so with that, one portion of Turks called Ghaznavids were the ones in particular who were fighting the Islamic regime. Now, the Ghaznavids were continuing to fight and win in different areas until eventually the Mongols had reached the Middle East. The Mongols and the Mongolian Empire had started in the east, as you may know, and was working its way, conquering and taking over land all the way until it reached the Middle East at this point. And they ruled for quite some time until one of the people in Persia had had enough of the Mongolian rule and gathered together a group of troops and fought against it and won. And that person who led this rebellion was somebody called Ishmael. Now, Ishmael ended up winning, and his area was called the Safavid. And his rule was really successful, and when he died, his son inherited it all. And his son's name was Abbas the First. So Abbas the First ruled the area in the land, And Abbas the First was very smart. He knew that they were constantly going to be at war with their neighbors, the Ottoman Empire. And Abbas did not want to continue to fight with them, so he decided to start strong by offering peace. He said, hey, I know we're always going to fight, but I don't want us to fight. To show you that I just want peace, I'll even give you a little bit of my land. How's that? Now, the Ottomans said, well, okay, give it to us, please. And they took it, but they also saw that as a sign of weakness. So Abbas knew that this might be considered a sign of weakness, and he decided to consult foreign war ministers to help protect him and train his troops. And it came in handy and helpful because the Ottomans did end up attacking, and Persia was ready, and Persia won. Now, Persia was growing strong, and as Persia grows strong, the Ottoman Empire grows weak. And the Ottoman Empire continued to grow weak until Sultan Murad ended up saving them. So, to go back and look in a little bit of our Ottoman history, so the Ottoman Empire they also were under the Islamic rule. And what stopped them from being under Islamic rule was a different group of Turks called the Seljuk Turks. They rebelled against the Muslim regime and claimed the land. So again, even though they claimed the land and they ruled it, Turks again were nomads. And nomads aren't necessarily good with government stuff and governing people. And so their government was not really good. They had lots of problems with the law of the land and controlling all the people. And that led to the Ottoman Empire also growing really weak. And so as they were growing weak, they needed somebody to help stand up and help take over the area. So eventually somebody took over, and his name was Osman. And Osman took over the northeast corner where modern day Turkey is, and he helped the country grow really strong. They grew strong and started to rival with Persia, and they kept expanding their land. They became really successful and ended up even taking the capital of the Byzantine Empire, Constantinople, and renaming it Istanbul in their now new territory. They even went over into Africa. This man, Osman, was starting to become known as the ruler of two lands and two seas, because not only was he in the land of the Middle East, he was in Africa, and he was moving over to Europe as well, and crossing two different seas in the process. So as the Ottoman Empire grew bigger and bigger, it also grew more and more corrupt, which made it weak. Now, eventually, it was time for this Sultan, Murad, to inherit the throne. And Murad was only 11 years old when it came time for him to inherit the throne. And so he was too young. So his mom said, I'm going to rule while he's still learning and a baby. However, mom wasn't so good at being a war leader. Not great at all. So she kept losing battles, losing land. Soldiers were captured and taken to be slaves in Russia. It was not great. Mom's not doing a great job. And so finally the soldiers had enough. They said, no more, we're done. And they went to the palace and tried to attack Sultan Murad, who was now 23 years old, and force him to give them the power. And Sultan Murad, who had been training all this time to be a strong and serious leader, he knew he was outnumbered. So he looked at all the people and said, I will give you my power. Don't hurt me. But he didn't really give them his power. Instead, while they thought that he had just given the power, he had set one of his spies on a secret mission to figure out who was the leader of all of these rebels. And he found out the leader was one of his own war generals. And so one day he had one of the workers in the house say, oh, General, the Sultan wants to see you. Please, please, please come. And so the general was like, okay. And the general came, and then he was ambushed by assassins. And the assassins, they killed him. They threw his body in the street as a strong message to all of the people that the Sultan will not tolerate people who go against him. And to show that he was really strong and serious about no one attacking him, he even banned drinking. He said drinking, people meet in secret at bars and taverns. So if I ban drinking, then they won't meet there and then they can't meet. And everyone started to fear him. He was a strong and powerful leader, and he helped the Ottomans become strong once again. Now, unfortunately, he did die at the age of 28, and so he didn't get to continue his strong regime. But he was able to bring the Ottomans from being weak to being strong again. That's it for chapter 8. I will see you again for chapter 9.